Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Peace and blessings to the hopefully elect, the 144,000 men pushing the truth and wholehearted sincerity across the four winds. It's the Akai Quad with the GMS Germany camp. Back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I had already started this lesson, but I didn't push the record button, so I was already like 10 to 15 minutes in, so no, maybe 10 minutes in, but through the Spirit, the Spirit makes you learn and do what you need to do, and you don't even notice it, Okay, so through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ratazat is essence is lightifying, okay? All right, so I was saying before I started this actual lesson, that so like here, excuse me, old dog 30, but this is the time that I have, so this is the time that I'm going to use, to exhort Israel to feed the lambs of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. We do this work not knowing who's going to watch our videos, but we know that we're doing it for the Lord, Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh, because we want to do those things which are pleasing in His sight. We want to strive to make our calling, our election true, and we don't have much to give the Lord other than our faith, and through faith we do the work, and through work you spread this gospel across the kingdom. You put that vibration of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai back into the earth. So anyways, like I was saying, the one thing that the children of Israel, being the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, must understand is we're still in captivity. We are still in captivity. We have been taken and used as a commodity for other nations. Okay? And whether you believe it or not, it's the truth. We have been separated from our heritage. We have been separated from our customs. We have been separated from our law, from history. We've had our land taken. We've had our heritage, our identity stolen. We're still in captivity. We're living under the name and the It's crazy because I can sit here and read and won't yawn, but as soon as I start talking about the scriptures, my body starts going crazy, But this flesh, anyways, we have been separated from our heritage. We have had our identity stolen. Okay? And we have enemies. The ones who have perpetuated these things into existence, who separated us from all of these things that I've listed: our heritage, our nationality, our identity, our laws, our customs, and our statutes, our land. They're still here today. And they are not only enemies unto Israel, Yasharallah, Israel being the princess of power. Yasharallah, he is power, prince of power, I was just thinking about that, but they all were in Confederate. So through this lesson, Yahweh Ratazah can shed some light on to this topic, because we should never trust our enemies. Okay, and our enemies are round about us. And we should never trust them. They have a saying in the world: you should trust a man as far as you can throw him. So first off, let me get something straight. This is the book of Esther. Okay. Let's go to the book of Esther, chapter 3, and verse 8. And Haman said unto the king Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not of the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they must be destroyed, that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those who have the charge of the business, and bring it into the king's treasuries. You see? So Haman, if I'm not mistaken, was an Amalekite, who actually are the people who have stolen our identity today. And you got to be careful about what you say now, because you got to be wise with your words, because Esau is as a roaring lion, destroying people's edification in his work. Okay? So he's trying to cover up his tracks, trying to keep his laws propagating for as long as they can. But they've been broken. They've been destroyed through the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua. Through the mouthpiece of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, we have broken the lies down. The truth is there. Just look on YouTube, which they are starting to crack down so hard on now, like never before anyways. Deleting pages, deleting work. Brothers have done videos that have such great edification to the gospel, spreading the gospel and to the edification to teach the sheep of Israel, and they're destroying it. Just like Haman wanted to destroy Israel here, because our laws were different than their laws. Our customs were different than their customs. We believe in the one true power of Israel, Yahweh. They believe in pagan customs and pagan deities, worshiping women, the queen of heaven, and Shaitan, Baal, and Tammuz, and Nimrod, and Zeus, and Poseidon, and Odin, and all those other gods that are nothing. They're nothing. So, Yahweh this lesson is edifying. Let's go ahead and get to it, man. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. Chapter 12. And verse 10. Let me start at verse 8. Because these words, they help you live. They give you insight into how men's hearts truly are. Okay? Especially these heathen nations. All right? A friend cannot be, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 8. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. Verse 9. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, and in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Okay? So, in the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved. So when we are happy, and if you look back into history, Black Wall Street, as they called it, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and many more other accounts that have not been listed, where they murdered many communities of so-called Black people, of Israelites. We were rejoicing, we were prospering and building and having communities and wives and doctors and lawyers and our own things. They didn't want to be with us. They wanted us to be segregated from them. So then we went and we created our own thing, our own communities, our own cities. And what did they do? They destroyed them. They were grieved to see us prosperous. How dare these slaves think that they can live on the same level as me? I gave you freedom. I gave you the ability to walk these streets. I brought you over here. I took you out of the jungle, as they would say. Verse 10. Never trust thine enemies, for as like iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So iron is always going to rust. Even when you put in the army, we call it CLP. CLP is called cleaning, lubricant, and protector. Okay? And it's an oil. It's like a cleaning oil for your weapons. All right? And if you ever cleaned a 50 cal barrel, you know, it always, no matter how much oil you put on there, it always rusted. So the Lord is showing you that the wickedness of these enemies, of who? We'll get to that in a second. The wickedness of the enemies are always going to show through. Okay? So if we understand that we never should trust our enemies, we first must realize who our enemies are. Let's go to Psalms. We're going to hold that and go to Psalms chapter 83. This is Psalm chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O power, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High, Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Okay? Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Who are the hidden ones? Who are the Lord's people? You know, Psalms 147, it tells you. 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. You see? So the Lord's people are Israel. All right? You can go to Luke 1 and 68. You can go to Amos. You can go to Hosea. All through the scriptures, Deuteronomy 7 and 6, 2nd Esdras 6 and 50, 9 and 54, I think it is. You know, it tells you who the Lord's people are. Okay? They are the children of Israel. The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Lord's chosen people. And they are hidden now. You know, they have had their heritage taken from them, so they don't know who they are. Through the Spirit, the Lord has awakened many of us, the prophets, the ones who have been tasked with the job of breaking down Esau's lies and his and exposing his wickedness. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. You see, they were all in cahoots, as you can say. Cahoots means all working together. And who were they? For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against the Most High. They are confederate against thee. And who are they? The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, and the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kizim. Okay, so anyways, I just wanted to point out who the enemies of the Most High are. All of these other nations. All of these other nations who are not the children of Israel, who are not Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, are the enemies of the Most High. Okay? I don't know how I lost that. Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus. Oh, here it is. Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away, though he humble himself. That's what Esau does. Okay? Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Okay? Verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh unto wild beasts? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Okay? Verse 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. And I've had this happen to me. This is speaking loud volumes into my ears. Okay? Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his words, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. You see? And that is our enemies. Edom, Ammon, Moab, Ishmael. Okay? If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. It's the truth. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Verse 18, he will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. This is what the Lord is telling us our enemies are going to do. And these nations that we are living amongst, they hate us, man. They hate that we've come back into our nationality. They hate that we're going against their customs, just as Haman did in the book of Esther. And it's going to happen again. We're not going to hearken unto these customs, and what's going to happen? They're going to try to destroy us. So let's go to James. James chapter 4 and verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of the Most High. Okay? Whosoever shall be a friend of the world is an enemy of the Most High, because this world goes against the scriptures. This world goes against the word that the Lord has told us that we should live by. This word goes ultimately against Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. What is the word? What does it say in John? Let's put the book of John real quick. John chapter 1. And verse 14. John chapter 1 and verse 14. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. The word was made flesh. This is talking about Yahweh Shai. So the world goes against this word. It goes against these customs that the Lord said that we should live by. It's ultimately going against Yahweh Shai. So then you become an enemy to Yahweh while Yahweh Shai. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay? So let's go to Psalms chapter 139. Verse 22. I hate them with a perfect hatred. I count them as mine enemy. Hold on, let's start at 19. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O Most High, O Yahweh. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men. And who's that bloody man? Yahweh. Yahweh says that the bloody men in the scripture are the Edomites. Okay? Salaki for that. The bloody men are the Edomites. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. You see? Verse 21. Do not I hate them, O Yahweh, that hate thee? Am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? Verse 22. I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. You see? So the enemies of the Lord are still here today. They're still here. They're still doing what they were doing in the ancient days. So spirits. Okay? Let's go to Acts chapter 13. In verse 10. And now, and said, O, full of all subtlety and mischief, thou child of the devil, thou enemy of all righteousness, wilt thou not cease to pervert the right ways of the Lord Yahweh? You see, and And when you think about this, who has perverted the ways of the Lord? The Edomites. They perverted the scriptures. They perverted the customs and led the whole world into believing the same thing. Okay? They tell you in Christianity, it's okay to be a homosexual, but say we believe in the Most High. It's okay to be a transgender. It's okay to be a pedophile. It's okay to not use your nationality. It's okay to eat swine. It's okay to eat abominations. They perverted the truth. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh, from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. The Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. You see? So I'm saying these things to show you that there are still enemies of the Lord, but the Lord is going to take them down. And when they think that they're going to destroy Israel even more so in these last days, the Lord is going to allow them to take away the 2/3, but he's going to lift up a standard against him with the 144,000 men, the elect. Okay? Let's go to Numbers chapter 10 and verse 9. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord Yahweh thy power, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. So we are at war. We're at a spiritual war with Esau, Edom, and these other nations. And we are blowing a trumpet by doing this work, week in and week out, preaching and prophesying, not giving him no rest, not giving Esau no rest, not giving these heathen nations no rest by doing this work, bringing it out, posting. And Yahweh Tazah, the elect are going to be edified, the sheep are going to be fed through this word, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, Yahweh Tazah was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.